Back, y'all. Look, man, we got the World Rugby Sevens Challenger Series that happened this past weekend in Dubai. Now, what is the World Rugby Sevens Challenger Series? Well, look, if you guys know what the HSBC 7 Series is, this is the not the console, this is the second tier. All right, this basically is the people who want to have a chance to enter into the 7 Series. This was created, technically, it was created in 2020, but I feel like they really were only able to get it off this last couple years. They've done like one game, but this year, for the first time, they got like 4 matches that are going to be happening for the World Rugby 7 Series, for the 7th Challenger Series. And the last game happened in Madrid. The winner of the overall competition gets into a playoff against the losers, the bottom 2 losers of the HSBC 7 Series, for relegation to see who pops back up. And I think this one is great because typically what we'd always find is that around Singapore, this is whenever teams would have a chance. We'd see Jamaica, see Germany, yada, yada come in. But it would only be like one shot. And it's really tough to be able to do that. Like that one shot to be able to get it all in their first shot to see if they can jump up and play against the best of the best. Like, oof, that's a tough one. But this year, they really, really took it up and made it happen. And we'll talk about the Vortex. We'll talk about a Vortex. Don't worry. And made it up really, really heavy. So, look, what happened this weekend? All right, what happened this weekend? Let's just tell you the results, man. Kenya men have come out like a mug. All right, this is a squad that honestly, I didn't know that they were going to be able to make their return. If you don't know, Kenya Rugby Union been suffering their own financial issues similar to Wales. They lost basically all their leaders over the course of the last 2 years, basically. Their most prominent players. All right, their most prominent players, they've been slowly weighing themselves out. So like this year was really like a fresher. But these guys, man, they're not playing. Like these guys are not playing because not only did they win for their competition for the Olympic trials, which they beat South Africa to be able to. South Africa Sevens beat South Africa Sevens to get an automatic qualification for the Olympics to win their region. They're also set themselves up to win this Challenger Series and return back to the HSBC Sevens, a place where they had notoriously already been, like one of those teams that have just been like, they've been impactful, but never like over the top. They felt like the Pittsburgh Steelers in football, like always in the mix, but never like going to make a championship. They were just like there. And once they got to the big stage, especially the Olympics, like they just kind of faltered off. So this year, it feels like they're trying to earn their way back into the HSBC 7 Series in a real way and back into the Sevens spotlight overall. The other team that you need to look out for, and that they had been there before, I think starting from 2014, and then they kind of lost their way out to a lot to Japan in over the course of the last 3 years since the pandemic, for sure, for obvious reasons. But it's China women, and China women, remarkably athletic team. Like that was one that they started. Like I said, I remember seeing them initially in 2014, whenever they first were putting their programs together, and they would come to Atlanta Sevens, and they had been growing. They weren't great, but they were always formidable. And that was the interesting thing. They were always formidable, especially because they would play hand-to-hand against a very experienced Japanese women's team that had been pretty much dominating the region for most of the time. So this Chinese Sevens team now coming back into its form, I think is something to watch. Now, they're not like major contenders. Like they're definitely not going to be. Right now they're in repêché, trying to get a chance to be able to get into the Olympics, get the final qualification spot. But in terms of being a playoff team and one that can be reminded, definitely taking on the best, and especially going against Japan, absolutely one to be able to watch. And for them, they had a great run. All right. So Kenya Sevens men actually had beaten Chile Sevens men 12-5 to win the Challenger Series. And China was able to beat Kenya Sevens women 19-5 to take out to get this championship for that one. Now, who ended up also playing in this? So you guys know, for the women's side, we had Belgium Sevens, Thailand, Uganda, who I've said is a dark horse, Papua New Guinea in Pool A, Kenya, China, Czechia, which I think is Czech Republic. I don't remember. Mexico, and then of course we had Argentina, Poland, and Hong Kong and Paraguay. Again, Paraguay is actually like low-key a good team to go against. And then for the men's side, you had Uruguay trying to jump their way back in, trying to be the second most dominant team in South America. Hong Kong, China, which is different than China. Georgia, Papua New Guinea, Chile for Pool B, Japan, Tonga, Portugal, and Japan surprising because we know what they did in the Olympics back in 2015 and really had seen their program kind of crescend. And then again, the pandemic really hurt a lot of people on that one. Tonga, Portugal, who we've seen develop. And in fact, the impact of their 7 side has been the positive for their 15 side. Germany, Kenya, Uganda, who once again, I consider to be the real dark horse in all of rugby in terms of 7s, and then Mexico men as well. So this is one where it kind of lived up to what I kind of expected. Number one, Uruguay on the back end won 3rd place in the 7s Challenger Series, beating Germany, who's always kind of in the mix, but they just don't get the turnover. Argentina women got 3rd place in it, got 3rd place for the women, but they had beat Uganda women 7s 36-10. And that speaks a lot because Argentina women are actually on a crescent and they are actually really good, really fast, and quite strong for them as well too. One that I like I said, Uganda men are one that I think everybody should be watching out for. And they ended up in 9th place for their outcome, but they ended up beating Portugal 27-12 for them. Even though they ended in 9th place, I'm telling you, man, watch Uganda. I'm gonna say this every single time I get a chance. Watch Uganda. Uganda is coming up. Uganda's making some moves. They're not perfect, but they're not weak. And even in their pool play, they only lost 1 match. What is it? 1 match, right? Yeah. Oh, they lost 2. Sorry. They lost 2 matches. But again, to Kenya and I think to Germany initially. And yes. To Kenya and to Germany. Kenya and Germany. So look, like I said, not anything to play with, but this one is something that everybody watches. Now, the next series doesn't happen again until almost a month from now. It's going to be taking place in Uruguay on March 8th through 10th in Montevideo, Uruguay, for the second round of this. Like I said, goes all the way until Madrid, I think in June. Germany, it's going to take place after Uruguay. It's going to go to Poland, Krakow, which is so random, and then end up in Germany before finishing up in a playoffs finals for relegation in Madrid, Spain. So, man, this is definitely something to watch. Yo, let me know what you guys think about all of this. Let me know how you guys are looking, and if you guys even care, which I think you should. This is where you're seeing the growth of the game really happen at its best, right? Yo, Vortex Rugby Ass on Instagram. Yo, how do we get on the show? Look, Vortex, yo, let me know what you're an expert in and hit me up on the DMs. hit me up on the DMs. We can talk from there and then see what we can do to bring it on. All I'm saying, we keep it simple here.